The warning they ignored. Captain Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth's Pride, watching the alien fleet approach through the viewing screen. The ship's communication officer, Lisa Park, turned to face him with worry in her eyes. "Sir, the Vex Empire is demanding our surrender again," she reported. "They say humans must leave this sector immediately." Jake shook his head slowly. The Vex had been pushing human colonies for months now, testing their patience. They thought humans were weak because Earth's government always tried to talk first instead of fight. "Open a channel to their flagship," Jake ordered. The screen flickered, showing Commander Voss of the Vex Empire. His blue skin gleamed under the ship's lights, and his 4 arms crossed in a gesture of dominance. "Human Captain," Voss spoke with contempt, "your species has ignored our final warning. Abandon your colonies in the Outer Rim, or face the consequences." Jake stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Commander Voss, for 3 years we've tried to share this space peacefully. We've pulled back from disputed areas. We've offered trade agreements. We've shown restraint." Voss laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "Restraint? You mean weakness. The galaxy knows humans are soft. You talk when you should fight. You negotiate when you should conquer." "We're not soft," Jake replied quietly. "We're controlled. There's a difference." "Prove it," Voss challenged. "Your Earth government sends diplomats and merchant ships. Where are your war fleets? Where are your weapons? The Vex Empire has conquered 12 species. You will be the 13th. Jake was silent for a moment. Behind him, his crew waited. They were all veterans of the Earth Defense Force, trained for this exact moment. He thought about the families on the colony worlds, the children who looked up at the stars with wonder instead of fear. "Commander Voss," Jake said finally, "I'm going to give you one last chance. Take your fleet and leave human space. Go back to your empire and tell them what I'm about to tell you." Voss leaned forward, amused. "And what is that, weak human?" Jake's expression grew cold. "We told the galaxy we were restrained for a reason. We've been holding back because we hoped for peace, but you've mistaken our mercy for weakness. You've pushed us too far." "Empty words," Voss scoffed. "Are they?" Jake asked. He turned to his tactical officer, Tom Brooks. "Tom, open a secured channel to Earth Command. Authorization code Alpha 77. The bridge fell silent. Even the Vex commander seemed to sense something had changed. "Sir," Tom reported, "Earth Command is online. They're asking for confirmation of Protocol Omega." Jake nodded grimly. Protocol Omega was something humanity had hoped never to use. It was their true military strength, hidden for decades behind a facade of peaceful exploration. "Tell them," Jake said slowly, "the restraints are coming off." On the screen, Commander Voss's confidence began to waver as he noticed the human captain's demeanor had completely changed. "What restraints?" Voss demanded. Jake turned back to face him. "The ones that kept our real fleet hidden. The ones that kept our weapons locked away. The ones that made you think we were weak." Across human space, hidden bases began powering up systems that had been dormant for years. Ships emerged from asteroid belts where they had waited in silence. Weapons platforms that looked like mining stations revealed their true purpose. "For 3 years," Jake continued, "we let you think you were dealing with merchants and explorers, but every human ship you've encountered was built for war. Every colony you threatened was defended by soldiers. Every diplomat you dismissed was a military strategist." Voss's 4 arms trembled slightly. "Impossible. Our intelligence reports were exactly what we wanted you to see," Jake interrupted. "We learned long ago that showing strength invites conflict. So we hid it. We hoped you would be reasonable. We were wrong." The Earth's pride began to change. Panels slid away to reveal weapon ports. The ship's hull reconfigured as military-grade armor plating extended. What had appeared to be a simple exploration vessel now looked like what it truly was, a warship. "You wanted to see human strength, Commander Voss?" Jake asked. "You're about to get your wish." But remember, you chose this path. We offered peace. You demanded war. Behind the Earth's pride, space shimmered as more human ships decloaked. Dozens, then hundreds of vessels appeared, all armed and ready for battle. Voss stared in shock at the display of force that had been hidden from his sensors. "This is your last warning," Jake said. "Leave now, or discover why humans spent centuries learning to wage war before we ever reached the stars." The Vex commander's confident expression had vanished completely, replaced by the first hints of fear. The galaxy watches. Commander Voss stared at the human fleet surrounding his ships. His tactical officer, a nervous Vex named Kryn, whispered urgent reports about weapon signatures and shield readings. "Sir, their energy output is beyond our calculations," Kryn reported. "These ships are not what our files indicated." Voss's confidence crumbled as he realized the humans had been playing a much deeper game than anyone suspected. "How many ships do they have?" "Unknown, sir. Our sensors show more vessels appearing every minute." On the bridge of the Earth's Pride, Captain Jake Miller watched the Vex fleet hesitate. His communication officer, Lisa, received reports from across human space. "Captain," Lisa announced, "Admiral Stone's fleet has reached the Kepler colonies. General Davis reports the Mars defense grid is fully active. The Luna stations are armed and ready." Jake nodded. For years, humanity had built their defenses in secret. Mining operations were actually weapons factories. Research stations were military bases. Trade routes were supply lines for a hidden war machine. "Sir," his tactical officer Tom Brooks called out, "we're receiving a priority signal from the Galactic Council." The main screen split, showing both Commander Voss and Ambassador Nira of the Council. Nira was a tall, elegant being from the Altair system, known for her diplomatic skills. "Captain Miller," Ambassador Nira said urgently, "the Council is monitoring this situation. We urge both sides to step back from conflict." Jake kept his eyes on Voss. "Ambassador, humanity has tried diplomacy for 3 years. The Vex Empire chose aggression over negotiation. The humans are bluffing," Voss declared, but his voice lacked conviction. "They cannot have hidden such military strength." Ambassador Nira looked troubled. "Captain Miller, if what we're seeing is accurate, why did humanity never reveal these capabilities to the Council?" "Because," Jake replied calmly, "we hoped we'd never need to use them. We've seen what happens when species show their full strength too early. The galaxy becomes a battlefield." Across the galaxy, other species were watching the confrontation with growing alarm. The Scythian Republic had always considered humans to be useful but harmless traders. The Rigel Federation viewed Earth as a minor power with interesting technology. The ancient Procyon Collective had barely paid attention to humanity at all. Now, their intelligence services were frantically reviewing every interaction they'd had with humans, searching for clues they had missed. On the Scythian homeworld, General Rex studied the tactical displays with his staff officers. "How did we miss this?" he demanded. "Our agents reported human ships as lightly armed explorers." His intelligence chief, Colonel Maya, pulled up files on her screen. "Sir, looking back at the data, there were inconsistencies. Human ships always had unusual power signatures. Their research stations were built in strategically important locations. Their trade agreements included clauses about mineral rights in systems with no apparent value." General Rex realized the truth. They were building supply depots, staging areas. "We thought they were mining for profit, but they were preparing for war." Back at the confrontation, Commander Voss was receiving similar reports from his own intelligence network. Every Vex spy in human space was sending emergency updates. "Commander," his aide reported quietly, "our agents are reporting massive military installations on planets we thought were simple colonies. The humans have been building warships in hidden facilities for decades." Voss felt the weight of his mistake. The Vex Empire had built their reputation on conquering weaker species. They studied their enemies carefully before attacking. But with humans, they had seen exactly what humanity wanted them to see. Captain Miller, Voss said finally, "You have made your point, but the Vex Empire does not retreat." Jake sighed. He had hoped to avoid bloodshed even now. "Then you've made your choice, Commander. All human vessels. This is Captain Miller. Protocol Omega is now active. Defend human space with full authorization." The response was immediate. Across the galaxy, human ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels suddenly revealed weapon systems. Space stations that appeared to be research facilities activated military-grade shields and fired warning shots at any threatening vessels. On Earth, the Global Defense Council watched as their hidden fleet moved into position. Admiral Sarah Stone addressed her fleet commanders through secure channels. "This is Admiral Stone to all fleet commanders. The galaxy thought we were weak because we chose peace. Today, they learn the difference between weakness and wisdom. Show them what humanity is truly capable of." The first shots of the war were about to be fired, and the galaxy held its breath. The first strike. Commander Voss made his fatal decision. All Vex ships, open fire on the human fleet. Show them the power of the Empire. The Vex warships launched their plasma cannons, sending waves of deadly energy toward the human vessels. The galaxy watched through long-range sensors, expecting to see human ships destroyed by the superior Vex firepower. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ships didn't just survive the attack. They absorbed it. Energy shields flared to life around each vessel, but these weren't ordinary defensive barriers. The shields seemed to drink in the plasma fire, growing brighter with each hit. Captain Jake Miller smiled grimly on the bridge of the Earth's Pride. "Tom, show them what adaptive shielding can do." His tactical officer nodded. "Shields are now calibrated to Vex weapon frequencies, sir. Energy absorption at 95% efficiency." Across the human fleet, the absorbed energy began redirecting into weapon systems. What had been Vex attacks now powered human guns. "Return fire," Jake ordered calmly. The human response was devastating. Beams of concentrated energy, powered by the Vex's own weapons, struck back with twice the original force. 3 Vex cruisers exploded instantly. 2 more lost power and began drifting helplessly through space. Commander Voss stared in horror as his fleet was crippled by their own attack. How is this possible? On his ship's science station, the Vex analyst Kryn worked frantically to understand what had happened. "Sir, they turned our weapons against us. The humans have technology that converts incoming energy into offensive power." But the real shock came when the human ships began their true assault. "All vessels," Captain Miller announced across the human fleet, "activate Prometheus weapons." Around each human ship, space itself seemed to bend. Reality twisted as humanity's most guarded secret revealed itself. The ships didn't just fire energy beams or missiles. They manipulated the fundamental forces of physics. Gravity wells appeared around Vex vessels, crushing their hulls like tin cans. Electromagnetic pulses disabled entire squadrons without destroying them, leaving the crews alive but helpless. Most terrifying of all, some human ships projected fields that simply made matter cease to exist, creating perfect spheres of nothingness where enemy vessels had been. Across the galaxy, alien intelligence services watched in stunned silence as decades of assumptions about human capabilities crumbled. On the Cetian homeworld, General Rex received emergency reports from his observers. "Sir," his aide reported with a shaking voice, "the humans are using weapons that violate known physics. They're manipulating space-time itself." General Rex felt cold fear creep up his spine. "How long have they had this technology?" "Unknown, sir, but our scientists estimate it would take centuries to develop such capabilities." The truth was becoming clear to species across the galaxy. Humans hadn't been weak newcomers learning to explore space. They had been an advanced civilization pretending to be primitive, waiting and watching, while others revealed their strengths and weaknesses. Back in the battle zone, Commander Voss realized his fleet was doomed. Half his ships were destroyed or disabled. The remainder faced human vessels that seemed capable of rewriting the laws of reality. Captain Miller, he called desperately, "We surrender. The Vex Empire yields." Jake's expression remained hard. "Commander, you had your chance to withdraw peacefully. You chose war instead." "Please," Voss begged. "We didn't know. We thought." "You thought we were weak because we chose restraint," Jake interrupted. "You mistook our patience for cowardice. That was your error, not ours." The human captain turned to his crew. "Disable their remaining ships. Take survivors prisoner. Make sure they live to tell their empire what happened here." As the battle ended, emergency broadcasts spread across the galaxy. The Galactic Council called for an immediate session. Trade agreements were suspended. Military fleets went to high alert as every species tried to understand what humanity's revelation meant for the balance of power. On Earth, President David Chen addressed the planet from the Global Defense Council headquarters. "Citizens of Earth," he began, "today marks the end of humanity's age of hidden strength. For 50 years, we have built our defenses in secret, hoping never to use them. We wanted to join the galactic community as partners, not conquerors." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "But when threatened with extinction, we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. The galaxy now knows what we are truly capable of. We hope this knowledge will lead to respect, not fear." Across human space, the hidden fleets moved into defensive positions around every colony and outpost. Mining stations revealed themselves as fortresses. Research facilities became command centers. Cargo ships transformed into patrol vessels. The deception was over. Humanity had shown its true face to the galaxy. Ambassador Nira of the Galactic Council sent urgent messages to every member species. Emergency session called immediately. The balance of power in the galaxy has fundamentally changed. Humanity is not what we believe them to be. But the most important message came from the survivors of Voss's fleet, broadcast on all Vex military frequencies. Warning to all Empire vessels. Do not engage human forces. They possess weapons beyond our understanding. The humans were never weak. They were waiting. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The galaxy reacts. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any in the organization's 1,000-year history. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the Great Chamber on neutral Arcturus Station, their voices rising in panic and confusion. Ambassador Nira stood at the central podium, trying to maintain order as delegates shouted over each other. "The humans have deceived us all," declared General Vex, representative of the Vex Empire. "They pretended to be peaceful while building weapons of mass destruction." "And whose fault is that?" countered Dr. Alex Ward, Earth's ambassador to the Council. "You attacked our colonies without provocation. We defended ourselves." The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species demanded humanity be expelled from the Council. Others called for immediate military action. A few suggested negotiating new treaties that acknowledged human strength. In the observation gallery, intelligence officers from every major power watched the proceedings while updating their governments on the rapidly changing situation. Colonel Ben Torres, head of Earth's diplomatic security, noticed how the alien observers kept glancing at him and his small team of human guards. Before the battle, these same beings had barely acknowledged human presence. Now they studied every human in the room like dangerous predators. "Dr. Ward," called Ambassador Zeta of the Rigel Federation, "your species has violated the fundamental principle of the Galactic Council, transparency between member species. How can we trust you now?" Dr. Ward stepped forward calmly. "Ambassador Zeta, did humanity ever lie about our capabilities? We said we valued peace. We said we preferred negotiation to conflict. We said we were restrained. All of these statements were true. But you hid your military strength," accused Representative Kalla of the Procyon Collective. "Yes," Dr. Ward admitted, "because history shows us what happens when species reveal their full power too early. The strong prey upon the weak. We chose to appear weak to avoid becoming targets. The truth of his words hung heavy in the chamber. Every species present had conquered weaker neighbors at some point in their history. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the political landscape was shifting rapidly. Species that had dismissed humanity as insignificant now scrambled to reassess their relationships with Earth. On the Cetian homeworld, an emergency meeting of the Republic's Senate was in session. Senators, President Jara announced, our intelligence services have completed their analysis of human military capabilities. The results are disturbing. She activated a holographic display showing human space. What we believed were 97 mining colonies are actually fortified military bases. Their research stations are weapons testing facilities. Their merchant fleet consists entirely of disguised warships. Senator Rock raised his hand. How did our spies miss this deception? Because, President Jara replied grimly, the humans wanted them to miss it. Every piece of intelligence we gathered was carefully managed. They showed us exactly what they wanted us to see. Similar meetings were happening on dozens of worlds. The galaxy's intelligence networks had been completely fooled by humanity's greatest deception. Back on Earth, President David Chen met with his military advisors in the secure bunker beneath the Global Defense Council. Mr. President, reported Admiral Stone, our fleets are in position around all human territories. The Vex Empire has withdrawn from our borders. 3 other species have requested immediate diplomatic meetings. General Davis added, intelligence reports that several smaller species are seeking protection agreements with us. They're afraid of being caught between us and the established powers. President Chen nodded thoughtfully. This is what we feared might happen. The galaxy's balance of power has been disrupted. Sir, Admiral Stone said, some of our commanders are asking if we should press our advantage. Strike at the Vex homeworld while they're weakened. Absolutely not, President Chen replied firmly. We revealed our strength to defend ourselves, not to conquer others. We stick to our principles. But not everyone in human space agreed with this restraint. On the frontier colonies, where families had lived under constant threat of alien attack, many settlers demanded revenge. Captain Miller received reports of these growing tensions as the Earth's Pride patrolled the border regions. Sir, his communication officer Lisa reported, we're getting messages from colonists on New Texas. They want us to attack Vex supply lines while we have the advantage. Jake shook his head. Our orders are clear. We defend human space. We don't invade alien territory unless directly threatened. But, sir, his tactical officer Tom pointed out, the colonists have a point. If we let the Vex rebuild their fleet, they might attack again. The captain understood their frustration, but he also understood the bigger picture. If we become conquerors, we prove that the galaxy was right to fear us. We become the very thing we've tried to avoid. The tension wasn't limited to human space. Other species were making their own difficult decisions. In the ancient halls of the Procyon Collective, the Elder Council debated humanity's place in galactic civilization. These humans are dangerous, declared Elder Vash. They have the power to dominate us all, yet they pretend to want peace. It's clearly a trap. Elder Cree disagreed. For 3 years, they could have conquered any of us. Instead, they offered trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Their actions speak louder than their weapons. But now that their secret is revealed, Elder Vash countered, how long before they decide that ruling the galaxy is easier than negotiating with it? It was a question being asked on every world. Could humanity be trusted with the power they possessed? Or would they eventually succumb to the temptation that had corrupted every other dominant species in galactic history? The answer would determine whether the galaxy faced a new age of peace or the most devastating war in its history. As news of humanity's capabilities spread, smaller species began choosing sides. Some sought human protection. Others allied with traditional powers like the Vex Empire or Rigel Federation. The galaxy was fracturing into camps, and everyone wondered who would make the first move toward total war. The choice that defined humanity. 6 months after the first battle, The galaxy stood on the edge of total war. The Grand Alliance had formed. 12 major species united under one goal: contain or destroy humanity before they could conquer the galaxy. Captain Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth's Pride, now flagship of the 3rd Human Defense Fleet. Around him, his crew monitored the largest alien armada ever assembled. Over 10,000 ships from across the galaxy had gathered at the edge of human space. "Sir," his tactical officer Tom reported, "long-range sensors show the Alliance fleet is moving into attack formation. They'll reach the Sol system in 48 hours. Jake nodded grimly. Despite months of diplomatic efforts, fear had won over reason. The galaxy had decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. On Earth, President David Chen addressed the Global Defense Council for what might be the last time. "The Alliance has rejected our final peace offer," he announced to the assembled leaders. "They demand our complete surrender and the dismantling of all human military forces." Admiral Stone leaned forward. "Mr. President, our fleet commanders are ready. We can destroy their armada before it reaches Earth. The cost would be enormous," General Davis added. "Millions of alien lives lost. Entire civilizations could fall." President Chen looked around the table at the faces of humanity's leaders. "We always knew this moment might come. We have the power to end this war quickly, but at what cost to our souls?" Across human space, similar debates rage. The colonists who had suffered under alien threats demanded total victory. Military commanders argued for decisive action, but many civilians questioned whether survival was worth becoming monsters. The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Vasquez, humanity's leading xenobiologist, requested an emergency session with the Global Defense Council. She had spent years studying alien cultures and had a proposal that shocked everyone. "We don't fight them," she said simply. "We show them." "Show them what?" President Chen asked. "Who we really are," Dr. Vasquez replied. "Not our weapons or our technology, but our humanity. We proved that power doesn't have to corrupt." Her plan was unprecedented and incredibly risky. Instead of meeting the Alliance fleet with weapons, humanity would meet them with truth. Captain Miller received his orders with a mixture of admiration and terror. The Earth's Pride would lead a small fleet to intercept the Alliance armada, not to fight, but to demonstrate something the galaxy had never seen before. "You want us to do what?" Tom asked incredulously when Jake explained the mission. "We're going to show them our cities," Jake replied. "Our schools, our hospitals, our families. We're going to prove that despite our power, we're still the same species that asked for friendship 3 years ago." The plan required humanity's most advanced technology, not weapons, but communication systems that could project complete sensory experiences across space. The Alliance fleet would see, hear, and feel what life was like in human space. As the two fleets approached each other, every species in the galaxy watched. This would be the moment that decided the future of galactic civilization. Admiral Core of the Alliance fleet expected to face humanity's terrible weapons. Instead, his sensors detected something impossible. The human ships were broadcasting on all frequencies, but not military signals. "Admiral," his communication officer reported, "the humans are transmitting memories." The broadcasts began with simple scenes: human children playing in parks on distant colonies, families sharing meals together, scientists working alongside alien researchers who had chosen to live in human space. Then came the deeper revelations. The humans showed their history, the wars they had fought among themselves, the mistakes they had made, the lessons they had learned. They revealed why they had chosen restraint over conquest. "We were once like you," came Captain Miller's voice across all channels. "We feared the strong and preyed upon the weak. We learned that power without wisdom leads only to destruction." The broadcasts showed human cities where aliens lived freely, alien students in human schools, mixed crews working together in space. They showed the Vex prisoners from the first battle, treated with dignity and respect despite their failed attack. Most powerfully, They showed humanity's greatest secret, not their weapons, but their philosophy. Every human child learned from birth that strength must be tempered with compassion. That power was a responsibility, not a right. Admiral Kor felt his certainty crumble as he experienced memories of human leaders choosing mercy over victory, restraint over revenge. He saw human soldiers risking their lives to save alien civilians. He felt the genuine desire for peace that had driven human policy for decades. "This cannot be real," he whispered to his crew. "No species gives up advantage for principle." But the evidence was overwhelming. The broadcasts came from thousands of sources across human space. Alien refugees spoke of human kindness. Former enemies testified to human honor. Even the Vex prisoners sent messages confirming their fair treatment. In the Alliance fleet, commanders who had been ready to fight to the death began to hesitate. The broadcasts weren't propaganda. They were windows into human hearts and minds. Captain Miller opened a direct channel to Admiral Kor. "Admiral," he said quietly, "we could have destroyed your fleet before you left your home systems. Our weapons can reach across the galaxy. But we didn't, because that's not who we are." "You're trying to deceive us," Kor replied, but his voice lacked conviction. "Are we?" Jake asked. "Look at your sensors. Our ships aren't even armed. We came here to show you truth, not to fight you." It was then that the Alliance fleet realized something incredible. The human ships facing them carried no weapons at all. They had deliberately disarmed themselves for this meeting. "Why?" Admiral Kor asked. "Why would you make yourselves vulnerable?